Welcome. This is Leading with Spirit, the show that gives you an in-depth look at topics like what it takes to navigate your spiritual journey, how to heal yourself and grow your spiritual gifts, and balanced practices to expand your business and your spiritual leadership. I'm your host, Spirit Bird, shamanic teacher, healer, and author, here to guide you on your journey to becoming your most potent spiritual leader. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here with the amazing Kat Hartson. Kat is a yoga instructor, a forager, a shaman, a healer, and a beginner burlesque chair dance instructor. She's a business owner in northern Vermont, and she's here to share her journey with healing and growing and loving and living her best life ever. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mm-hmm. So, Kat, we met, I actually probably should have thought about this ahead of time, but we met probably about a year and a half ago or so, I think is when we met and you started the Shaman School program with me.
Yes, that's correct.
And I think you probably completed about a year ago now that I track back.
Yeah, just over a year ago.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
What was going on in your life when we first met?
Well, I had been in a state of deep spiritual growth and healing as best I could on my own with the tools that were available to me. I was doing a lot of work for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling to get my yoga business off the ground, renting spaces from other people and a bit of element of chaos, in a pretty lonely romantic relationship marriage for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But mainly really turning my focus at that time inward on what can I do to change my narratives? What can I do to heal myself? Because I knew there was a lot of healing that needed to be done. And then all of a sudden, Shaman School ads started popping up. And when yours popped up, I said, well, she's from Alaska. Like I was born in Alaska. Like that's too funny. And so that's kind of what led me down that path to choosing Shaman School through your program.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And so I'm excited that we connected again recently. So you've turned a lot of that around. So tell me a little bit about what you have going on in your life now.
So this year has been a tremendous, I guess, byproduct, I would say, of the healing that took place last year, because, the healing journey is never done. But through Shaman School, I learned a lot. And I took what I learned from Shaman School and continued to work on myself, my healing, my growth. And now I just opened my own yoga studio May 1st of this year. I have spent a lot of time painting a giant forest mural and a giant Buddha on the walls in there, and holding space for my classes as well as other classes of other healers that are in the area. There's a sudden surge of healers in this particular area of northern Vermont where I live. So I'm very fortunate to be surrounded with so many of them. And then it just gave me a space to start doing all of the things I loved, selling all of my foraged goodies and holding and hosting paint events to teach people how to paint, renting the space, again, leasing it to other healers who are also trying to grow their business, and just really explore my creative avenues. And in that time frame, I got very healthy. I dropped 40 pounds of weight that I had been struggling to lose for years. Like over a decade, I've been struggling to lose weight and nothing ever seemed to work. And I know that the healing process, once that starts, everything is affected by it. So anyway, I got very healthy, mind, body, and spirit. And now I am the busiest I have ever been. I have the busiest schedule I've ever seen in my life, but in a good way. I still feel like there's plenty of downtime to just play and spend time with my dog, or just go on a whim and go for a walk in nature. Like, this is exactly what I wanted.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I love that you've been able to keep play and fun and creativity in your work. Not keep it in your work, but it sounds like let it really just explode and blossom.
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Um, yeah. And so in the process, so I'm curious if you would share a little bit about what you felt like you were up against when you didn't feel like you had any movement happening in your life.
I would say that during that time where things, I guess, felt stagnant, it was exactly that. I knew underneath the surface that I was the one in my own way.
Mm,
However, being in an unhappy marriage, you are who you surround yourself with. I believe we pick up on each other's energy so easily, and I think I realized in that time frame that I was had that relationship had expired and I had stayed long past its expiration. And so I feel like that was a big block for me. And I struggled for a very long time to see to see the truth or accept the truth. I saw the truth. I just didn't accept the truth that it had to go, because I would never, ever be able to shine as bright as I am meant to shine in this life. If I continued down the same path, because I was just getting the same results over and over. As I started to heal myself, I started to change. I feel like I transmuted into a different person, or maybe more accurately, I became the person I'm meant to be in that process. So everything else that wasn't that, or a close vibration to that, it just started to fall out of my life naturally for the most part.
Yeah. We didn't talk about this, but what was that like for you after you like acknowledged that to yourself and that it was time to move on from that relationship?
At first, extremely painful. Like there's no fighting that. I knew that would happen. I think that's why I held on as long as I did. We never want to feel that pain or feel like we're causing somebody else that pain. And that's exactly what it was like. It was severe. When you have built a connection in a life with somebody for so long, there's usually pain with that separation. Maybe not always, but for me, and for him as well, it was very painful. And I think a lot of that was because I had already healed so much and was dedicated to continuing to heal, that I saw it for what it was. And he wasn't ready at that time to see the truth of that, the incompatibility, the separate paths, separate lives. We led very separate lives. So very painful, but at the same time, underneath that surface, there was this bubbling excitement that just wanted to explode out of me. And I really just wanted to be out of that house, to be honest. Once I ended the relationship, there was like a couple of weeks before my apartment was going to be ready. And I felt like I was putting a shadow over my emotions, my good emotions, my happy emotions, because I didn't want him to hurt from me being happy that I'm going on the right path. But that was just another validation that I was just dulling my shine.
Yeah. Oof.
Do it. Can't do it.
Yeah. What helped you get through? I would imagine it probably was several weeks or several months of a little bit of inner turmoil to get through that. What helped you get through?
My relationships that I have in my life, my friendships, my family, being able to be extremely frank with them and just say, you've seen me, telling them, you've seen me be, so unhappy for so long. And I took this plunge, and, just being able to lean in on their support was tremendous. And they all supported me in that, because they were like, finally, like she's doing the thing that all of us want to do. Sometimes we don't have the bravery to do it, and you have the cojones and you did it. And I felt very proud. It made me feel very proud and empowered. And it launched me into more of that. I can't thank that those support systems enough. So many people helped me when I finally made that decision. The support was miraculously there in every way, financially, just everything just unfolded right there.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. And so you've met a new person since then.
Yes. So we knew each other for almost a decade. He was a good friend of mine, who actually did a lot of my printing work for my business, printing t-shirts with my logo and printing my sign for my business, my new business, my studio. And he had done work for me, random things for a couple of years. And we just started to grow closer throughout that time. And then when I split from my husband, he was right there as a supportive friend, like right there. And then I was able to sort of allow that connection to come through, which was already happening. I mean, you can't stop those connections. They appear and they're there, and we have to acknowledge them. And he just, I don't want to use the word stole my heart. It was already his, is the way I see it. He treats me like I'm a treasure and I'm a queen, and he values me and cherishes me and supports me in all that I do. He gets excited for me. He believes in me, and he's proud of me. And that is just, I wish you could have met my grandfather who treated me exactly that way. And I've always wanted a partner who was exactly like that. And that's who I have.
Oh, sweet.
Well,
thank you for sharing that.
Yes, absolutely. We all deserve that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would imagine some of that is also connected to you finding that in yourself too, being able to embody yourself as a queen and a creator and all the things that you are.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. And I've mentioned that to him quite a bit. We talk spiritual, we talk about everything. And I told him, I said, a year and a half ago, I wouldn't have recognized you as a mate. I wouldn't have been able to receive what you give me because I wasn't healed. I wasn't healed there.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't. I didn't realize how unworthy I looked at myself for so long. I just didn't realize it. I thought I was doing the work, and I was, but it took a while to really dig away those layers and go, you know what, you are worthy. You are worthy just as you are. And I finally believed it. And I know that is direct correlation from that healing to, accepting and receiving a partner that believes and sees that in me. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey with your yoga studio too. And in particular, I'm curious, like when you wanted to put that together, when you wanted to get your own studio, I'm curious what you imagined it would be like, or what you thought the purpose behind it was then versus like where you are with it now.
So I had always, for many years, envisioned having a studio of my own. Always wanted to have one. And I think what I thought it was going to look like back then, even a year and a half, 2 years ago, was I would have a space and I would share it with other yoga instructors, and that would be that. It was pretty simple. I knew some details that have now since come to fruition. Like I wanted to paint a forest mural on the walls, and I knew all of that. But the logistical stuff, it's almost like it was almost irrelevant to try and imagine because it's so different now. So how it's come to fruition is, yes, I do teach a very full yoga schedule, but I still incorporate all of the other things that I love, like the foraging and canning from those foraged ingredients. And now teaching burlesque beginners chair dance and paint parties. Like I've literally been able to encompass everything that I do in that space. I still do some shaman healing work on others, but I mainly use it for myself. And I am always open to clients who feel they could benefit from it. But I literally didn't have to give up anything. Yeah. And even though in the very beginning, I was like, well, so if I tried to map things out, me not being a math person going, well, let's say I have X amount of classes per week and I make X amount of students. And this is what I could logistically make this week if I lowball it. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out that way at all. So what ended up happening is, yes, that side of things booms all on itself, on its own, but all these other ideas came up, like the paint events and the chair dance. And it seemed like these opportunities were just so, well, you could say random, but probably not so random. Mm-hmm. And the income just, that's the bizarre part. feels bizarre. The income just flooded in from so many sources. So, for instance, this past month, I was approached by 3 different organizations that have government funded, grant funded programs or money to create programs to help whatever organization they're in. So like Voices Against Violence, who helps domestic abuse in this area. They had some grant money they wanted to use at my studio. So there's a great client that I have now. And then the Abenaki, so the native community in this area is the Abenaki, and they had grant money to use. This is all COVID related money. Mm. So from the pandemic came all these programs. And then there was another program that was for adolescents and youth and creating programming for them. So all of a sudden, these things just started coming out of the woodwork, so it seemed. And all these opportunities and all of the right networking and meeting the right people. And it just it snowballed in a way. I felt like it went from, okay, there's some cool opportunities coming up to all of a sudden I'm flooded with opportunities. It's just been miraculous and tremendous.
I'm so happy for you and happy for the people that get to work with you too.
Me too.
It's got to be a lot of fun and great for the community.
I think so. Actually, the people that I've been working with directly with the city of St. Albans, where I'm from, they are excited to have new blood, so to speak. Someone who wants to be involved in creating programs that are fun and just branching out in the community and being involved in a lot of the things that are going on. And so, yeah, it's like everything's fitting together.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm curious because I always like hearing this after the fact. So I love to hear from students if there was a moment when you were in shaman school that particularly surprised you or stood out or something.
Yes.
Something along those lines.
Oh, yeah. I think about it quite often. Uh-huh. There was a particular day when I was, I guess you'd say, in the hot seat for healing. Mm-hmm. So, and it was this one particular day and I never knew what to expect. So I just left expectations at the door and went with whatever flowed. Yeah. That particular day was, I couldn't even tell you a lot of the details of it. I don't know if I recall a lot of them, but I do recall that what came to the surface that day was the absolute reality of the brokenness or end of the marriage. Mm-hmm. It was a while yet before I pursued the separation, but that was a pivotal moment for me because I knew it. We all know it. I knew it all along, but being able to have it come up to the surface verbally and vocalize it and then just sit with it afterwards. I think I was very, very tired the rest of that day and probably the day after because it was just so monumental for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how much I love the story of, your friends and family. Obviously that's like a challenging time and also exciting. I felt that too, where it's like, oh my God, I feel like I just stabbed myself in my own heart mixed with like, I know this is the right thing. And I'm so excited about the possibilities and the purpose and the future and all the things that are coming. And I find it interesting because it sounds like your friends and family sort of had a sense that they were like, it's like when somebody finally sees the thing that they're ready to do, it's like, everybody else can breathe.
Yes.
Love that you had that support around you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And serve as that inspiration also. Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Me too. Everybody deserves it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So just to kind of wrap things up here, I'm curious, just looking back on your journey, if somebody was in a situation similar to you, not necessarily with your partnership, but just in your whole life or what you felt like you were stuck in, what advice would you give to them?
It's funny you mentioned that. I have been supporting a friend who's going through almost exactly what I've been going through this year. She's been in a marriage a lot longer than I have, and she's on her spiritual journey and healing. And I can totally relate to everything that she tells me about. But what I tell her and what I would tell others is love yourself first. Always take care of you. That is the most important relationship you can work on, is the one with you. And if you feel that someone in any respect is causing you to put a damper on that, or causing you to dull your shine, which is what I usually say, that person's not for you. There are so many opportunities waiting for you, and it seems scary, but trust that help will be there. As soon as you take that leap of faith, the universe will come up and meet you and support you in every way you need. It will be provided for you.
Mm-hmm. Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So before we go, I just wanted to let everybody know that we'll be sharing the links for this too, but you have a pretty interesting YouTube channel too. Can you share a little bit more about what you offer there?
Yeah, so that's kind of new. Well, I've had the YouTube channel for a while, but I just switched it to my business and gave it my business name on there. And I have been offering some free yoga classes on there. I have like 4 or 5 recorded that you can just hop on. It's free. It's for anybody. You can just hop on and try a yoga class. It's all narrated, so you'll know what to do, when to do it. I even offer some modifications. I just posted my first beginner's chair dance choreography. So that basically that was mainly so that my students who just learned it could continue to learn it. But I wanted to share it for those that didn't know what it was and just were curious about it and what it was like. And I will continue to post more yoga classes and more chair dance videos, and who knows, maybe some random outdoor adventures. I do tend to go on adventures a lot with my dog. So all kinds of things.
Yep. Wonderful. And I saw you were grateful, or I'm grateful that you showed me your dog for a second before we hopped on this. I was like, let me see that baby. He's beautiful.
He's my good boy.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for your bravery and moving forward and finding that trust and knowing and sharing your gifts and your joy with everyone. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for showing up when you did, because your program really changed my life in a lot of different ways, because it helped invoke that healing that I needed so much, that I'd been struggling to try and do on my own or with the resources I had. So that was life-changing. It's taken me this far. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Pleasure. All right, everybody. That's all for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Are you tired and stressed from the drive to push and do more, bigger, better, faster, and always moving? I'm inviting you to come all the way back to the center of yourself, to pause and drop into your spiritual being just for you. If you've been feeling the call to bring more ceremony and ritual into your life, to get clear on your purpose and to reconnect to your own devotion and self-trust, you're invited to Holy, our upcoming event in February, where you will remember that you are deserving of complete devotion and trust. Holy is an extended ceremony where we'll be guiding you through community-sourced rituals and spiritual tools, accountability to embody the spiritual being you keep imagining you can be, and support sharing your gifts more openly with the world. Plus, we're going to have amazing guest speakers sharing tools on astrology, divine feminine, all kinds of gorgeous topics. To learn more, you can visit our website, holtonhealingarts.com, or DM me at Holton Healing Arts, the word holy, and I'll get you started. I hope to see you there. I would love for you to join us. Let's play together. Welcome to today's Member Query episode, where we explore questions about spiritual paths, intuitive gifts, growing a spiritual business, and shamanism. Do you have a question for us? Send us a DM at Holton Healing Arts. This question is again from one of our Leading with Spirit Facebook members. And the question is, what is the history of shamanic healing? And so I'm going to give you a very quick general answer. Of course, the word shaman comes from Siberia and likely made its way across the Northern Hemisphere. Likely Europeans started to coin that term or borrow that term And so now it's a term that we use to basically refer to all practices that have or people that are accessing the unseen realm and bringing it into the 3D reality for the purpose of healing. Obviously, there are all different cultural ways that this is expressed, and specific lineages and ways to be using this work, but generally that's where it comes from. Some people don't like using the word shaman because they feel it's a appropriation, and I totally understand that feeling. I have sat with it for a long time, and I use it because it's the best word that we have to describe this thing that we're doing. And in general, where, the general terms of what that history is, the part of being human, the part where humans were in direct relationship to nature, where we saw spirit in all things and we're in relationship to all things in that way. It's our way of reading the cycles and understanding nature and understanding our part in nature. And of course, over time, as we started to separate from the circular model of life and living with the earth, into the hierarchy where we saw humans as being above, we are now doing the opposite. We're on the other side of that cycle. We did this, we learned some things, and now we are re-indigenizing ourselves and taking ourselves out of the hierarchy, taking ourselves out of competition with other humans and competition with resources, and seeing ourselves as being above the earth and starting to bring ourselves back into that circular way of being. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leading with Spirit. If you did, please share the link for this episode with your biggest takeaway, tagging me at Holton Healing Arts. It would also support me if you subscribed and left a rating and review of the show so we can support more people living their highest purpose. Until next time, journey on.